Now that the background's completely dry, I've taken all the masking fluid off, and just before I start painting the footbridge, I'm going to put a bit of texture onto the tree with a number 4 brush and a bit of green made from Oriolin and cobalt blue. I'm just going to use the side of the brush and drag it down the paper, and then with a bit of the dark brown, the burnt sienna and ultramarine, the same sort of thing again, just using the side of the brush and dragging it down the paper just to roughen it up a bit and give the impression of bark. And then with the very point of the brush, maybe pick out 1 or 2 little crevices and bits of texture. Again, rough paper really helps with this sort of effect. Okay, now for the bridge. I want a bit of bright colour first of all, so I'm taking some raw sienna with a bit of rose madder. And I'm going to carefully put this over all the white areas where I've had the masking fluid. I'm going to try and leave a tiny bit of dry white paper at the very top of the bridge to give the impression that the light is catching it. Now while that's still damp, I'm going to put a bit of green in it, a bit of Oriolin and cobalt blue to suggest a little bit of algae on the wood. Now that will need some shadows painting into it and some dark areas under the rails and along the bottom of it, but it's got to dry first. I've got the number 4 brush and I'm going to take first of all some burnt sienna with a little bit of cobalt blue. A sort of medium brown shade. Quite a strong paint to give the bridge a bit of impact, and we'll start putting a bit of darker colour in along these rails. A little bit thick, that I'm adding a touch of water to it. But I'm just keeping it thick enough to drag along the paper and create a bit of texture. And then I'm going to take some burnt sienna and ultramarine to give me a much darker colour, a real dark brown, and use that on the underside of the rail. Really sort of bringing it out from the background. I'm going to swap now to a number 2 brush for a bit more detailed work, but keeping that dark mixture of paint, the burnt sienna and ultramarine. And we'll put a bit of shadow onto the uprights. Then with that lighter of the 2 darks again, and still with the number 2 brush, we'll do a touch of shadow running down the uprights, just leaving us that glimpse of wood catching the light. Okay, and now a bit more of that mixture of burnt sienna and cobalt blue. And we'll put a bit of light now, a bit of shadow rather, onto the side of the bridge. Just building up a touch of texture. Bit bigger brush, I'm going to get the number 4 brush. Bring this across, trying to leave a little sliver of the lighter colour catching the light. Bringing that behind that stone there, and we'll leave that to dry for a moment. So with the number 4 brush, I'm now going to mix a bit of shadow colour. I'm going to take some cobalt blue with a little touch of translucent grey. And I'm going to start by giving the impression of shadow from the uprights on the bridge itself. Just working that in. And then I'm going to mix some more of the dark brown, the burnt sienna and ultramarine. Plenty of burnt sienna in it so it's not too grey. And then I'm going to put the support in that runs right across the middle. And then you just see a glimpse of it at the other side as well. Just in that area there. At the other side of the bridge. And I'm strengthening it slightly. Okay, so the next thing, straight away I've got a number 6 brush and some more raw sienna and rose madder, and we'll put some light on these stones at the other side of the bridge, leaving a few little lines of clean white paper just to catch the light. I'm dropping a little bit of translucent grey into that as well, and then some nice bright green, some Oriolin and cobalt blue, and let that leak up into it right along that side. I'm going to soften that into the bank I've already painted, and then where this meets the water I want a dark green again, Oriolin and translucent grey, just so I've got a nice rich dark where this part meets the water's edge. I also need a bit of brown in there, a bit of dark brown, so it's more burnt sienna and ultramarine. Drop a touch of that in. Okay, before the next stage I'll leave that to dry.